Thank you, Manuel To, for that report. But even then, remember that KTN News and Standard Media Group in general will be bringing you beat-by-beat coverage on that visit by King Charles III and Queen Camilla. Now, we go straight to what's trending. In studio with me is Winfrey Owino from the digital desk as she brings us up to speed on what has been happening in this country now today. Good morning to you, Winfrey. It's been a while.
Good morning, Dennis. It's been a while. I was off a bit just to go and rest.
Enjoyed yourself.
But it feels good to be back.
Karibu sana. Now let's just go straight. Today, KCPE and KPSEA exams have started, but most important is these will be the very last KCPE ever. What are Kenyans saying about that?
Well, Dennis, indeed, this is the final KCPE exams in the history of Kenya, 38 years later since the 844 curriculum now was rolled out. And it is actually slowly phasing out. In the next 4 years, we'll be done with 844 and we'll be now focusing on the CBC, the competency-based curriculum. So this morning, we've seen quite a number of top state officials as well as education officials in the country in various parts of the country overseeing the distribution of exam papers. We understand that today we have maths exams for KCPE and KPSEA, which is the grade 6 learners national evaluation test. So this morning we've had the top government officials, including the president, President William Ruto, the Education CS, Ezekiel Machogu, as well as National Assembly Majority Leader, Kimani Ichung'wah, in Kikuyu constituency, in Kikuyu Township Primary School, where they spoke to the students before the beginning of the exams. They oversaw the distribution of the papers and they saw how the seating arrangements was. And basically the president was just wishing the candidates a success in the examinations. On the other hand, we also had Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi at St. George's Primary School in Nairobi. He was also there just overseeing the distribution of papers and how the arrangement of the candidates is. Is there any challenges that are coming up that the education officials are facing, and so on and so forth. So basically, you understand, in the format of how this government works, it's basically they come together, they join forces, and they do a certain task they're supposed to do, and that's basically what's going on. So far, we're still receiving information from various parts of the country and in how the examination process is going on and all that. But just maybe to mention, there's a family that was expecting their families actually that were expecting to have their kin sit for the exams today, but unfortunately they lost their lives due to that. We really want to give out our condolences to the families for losing such young people who had maybe bright futures ahead of them. But all in all, today we are starting the final KCPE exams, and we are yet to see any irregularities that will come out. Of course, the CS has reiterated so much in terms of security and adherence to the examination rules. Basically, that is just that as per now, but of course it continues to develop as the days go on, and even up to Wednesday when they finish their final exams are set up.
Yeah, very well. And even on that, we've just received a circular right now coming from the Ministry of Education, where the Cabinet Secretary and the Ministry of Education is warning the exclusion of unregistered students from KCPE exams. And the Cabinet Secretary, and let me just say, and I quote, consequently, all affected learners are advised to report to their respective schools, designated examination centers, for purposes of seating the examination. There is also the latest development when it comes to issues to do with KCPE and KPSEA exams. But now, King Charles III and Queen Camilla will be touching down at JKIA tomorrow. Winfrey, I know that you've been following these for the better part of the past 2 weeks now. What's the latest on this, and will we see the King apologize to Kenyans as is being requested out there?
Well, it's been a long journey coming. For us to get to this point, there's been a lot happening. And we first learned of the visits in May this year. That's when we learned the King will be here. And at the beginning of now, October, is when it was official. The High Commission in Kenya released a statement saying he'll be here for some days. He's expected to meet the President, of course, and the First Lady. They will have some dinner, some conversations. And of course, from there, some declarations are bound to be made. We don't know, but we'll see to that. And he's also, the king and the queen are also supposed to meet with Wangari Maathai's daughter. Wangari Maathai is known globally for her environment conservation efforts, and she even won a Nobel Peace Prize for that. So the king will also be paying a tribute to his kin, majorly her daughter, who will be hosting them. So yes, the king will be here tomorrow, and it's going to be very interesting because the media, including the international media, are actually reporting that most of the historical injustices that were committed to Kenyans by the British government, and it covers both the pre and post-colonial period. So everybody is talking about that. It is very clear that this is something that is going to haunt the entire visit. There are so many questions that are bound to arise from this, and we're going to see that, like yesterday we had an NGO holding a press conference, really stamping their foot down with authority. They are talking on behalf of the victims who have never been compensated. No acknowledgement or apology has ever been issued, and these are some of the things that they are pushing for. Remember, the British are our colonizers. They're the ones who are here, and then they gave us the independence, and now we became Kenya, and we attained our own self-rule. But when all this was happening, we had the Mau Mau fighters, we had the resistors who are also leading various communities in resisting the colonial rule. So it's not yet clear what the king will say. The High Commission in Kenya has really remained mum on this issue, but we'll definitely see the response he's going to give to the media. Of course, when it's time for question and answer, this is something that is highly likely to come out. Yesterday, Kenya Human Rights Commission were actually saying they would like to have the British government pronouncing itself on some of these injustices. Remember the Wanjiru murder, the case of the murder that happened involving Batuk officers in Laikipia back in 2011. This is a case that remains a misery. It was indeed established there was an officer that killed the woman and threw the body into a septic tank, but no action has ever been taken towards the culprit. So basically, these are some of the things that the NGO is really highlighting. Another thing they're highlighting is some of should we call them Mashuja, these people who fought for independence and during the colonial rule and the resistance. Some of their bodies have not been found, and this commission was actually coming out very strongly, saying that they would like the British government to provide the remains of people like Dedan Kimathi, a field marshal, as well as Koitalel Arap Somoy, a resistor. He was the leader of the Nandi community back then during the pre-colonial period. So those are some of the things that they are really coming out to highlight, but it's not yet clear what the king will say. And these are still just talks that we are making, online chats, banters here and there. But definitely the buck stops with the High Commission of the UK to Kenya, ASETO. Yeah, very well. And even the ambassador, Neil Wigan, was at Spice FM 2 weeks ago, and he said that issuing an apology would be a bit difficult because that creates legal difficulty for them. But then again, we wait to see how these will continue. But then again, President William Ruto's foreign travels, what are Kenyans saying about that? Yesterday, he said he's the #1 diplomat for the country. Yes. Well, actually, the president and Kenyans, it's now normal. When the president does something, Kenyans have something to respond. And it's actually the memes for me that are flying online. Someone even took the entrance of JKIA, and where we have that banner, Jomo Kenyatta, they put the office of the president. Surely, the president says he's the chief agent of the country, and he's the one who is the boss, who is supposed to carry out ambassadorial activities in terms of development for the country. So that's his defense. He says there's no big deal about it. He's just supposed to go. And he was even saying, "Mimi natoka tu siku mbili," and then everybody's making noise about me traveling. So he's just saying there's no cause to worry. I'm just working for you guys. But it is very clear that he's traveling a lot. He's really been moving to countries. It's slightly over a year. It's like a year and 1 month, and he has made nearly 40 trips. Yesterday, he defended why he went to Saudi Arabia. And he even said, in fact, I'm supposed to go back there in less than a month. So I think the only thing we need to do is to brace ourselves and accept that our president is a traveling president, and whatever he's doing is for the good of the country. Whether it will come to pass now, that one is up to time. You know, time explains everything that is mysterious. But he says, His trips are mainly aimed at securing employment opportunities for Kenyans, and he even said that while he was in Saudi Arabia, he managed to secure over 300,000 jobs for Kenyans. It's quite interesting to see who are these Kenyans and what are they going to do. That's one of the things that he has not really put out very clearly for us, and that's why he'll continue getting these criticisms. Of course, it's also politics. The members of the opposition will find something like this, any fault on the government, and they carry it with it just to make politics alive and to maintain relevance in the political space. So basically, the president is traveling for the good of the country. That is what he says. And for you who is making noise, understand that he's out there working. So stop sharing the memes and all that, surely, Dennis.
Pretty much what the president is saying, take a chill pill, going out there to look for jobs. But even this coming at a time when majority of Kenyans who have gone to Saudi Arabia have come back in boxes. I don't know how those discussions were held, but we wait to see. But then again, on that note, thank you very much, Winfrey Owino from the digital desk. But I will take a short commercial.